As I had mentioned in previous videos, one of the things that Tiny and I used to like to do when he was having downtime when we recorded Prisoner of Love during the day, we'd go to parks and, Tiny would just play songs and be out in the sun, have a little beer, talk. And I had him talk about his first and second album. The God Bless Tiny Tim album, you can hear him talking about that on another video on the channel. But in this one he's gonna talk about the second album, but in this first part he talks about Concert in Fairyland and what that did to his career and how it interfered with the release of the second album and how detrimental it was. Tiny maintained with me up until his passing that Concert in Fairyland was the thing that destroyed his career. He was never able to recover, especially with the major labels, and he mentions that in this video. So it was a very unfortunate part of his career. A lot of people, may have strong opinions on other things that might have initiated his downfall. But Concert in Fairyland certainly didn't help. So here's Tiny telling you about that. Like I said, there's a second part of this video where he talks more about the songs and the second album. But I wanted to do this in two parts, with this part being Concert in Fairyland, and the next part we'll have Tiny talking about the second album in more detail. So if you could do me a favor, subscribe. I'm trying to hit 5,000 as a goal. And if you liked the video, hit like, give me a comment, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about Concert in Fairyland if you've heard it. It's quite interesting. Anyways, have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
That's why I went and had a little drink before this. And that's why that line in that song, take back that bitter hour when our love passed away. Turn back the universe and give me yesterday. Thanks, Mr. Robinson. What was the question you asked?
I was just gonna move on here since we were. Tell me about this album.
Oh yes, the God Bless Tiny Tim album was the first one. This is the second album.
And is that your parents on the cover?
That is my parents on the cover. Thanks for asking. They were saints of parents. As you know, my mother was Jewish. My father was Catholic. He came from Lebanon. I don't know where she came from, either Russia or Poland. They were great, hard-working parents. They were saints of parents where I'm concerned. But here is Rudy Valley, at the age of about maybe 80, who was so nice to pose for this album. This was the second album that Mr. Perry made. For all the viewers, Mr. Perry went on to greater success. He produced Stoney and Barbra Streisand in '71. He produced Without You by Nilsson, and Nilsson rest in peace, with his biggest hit in '72. I Can Live, Living Is Without You. That record is coming out in Australia, by the way, in another year or two. We recorded that. And he recorded Coconuts. We had a hit with him, with Nilsson. You're So Vain by Carly Simon. When I Need Love by Leo Sayer in '76. Ringo's Photograph, Ringo's You're 16. All the Pointer Sister hits, Slow Hand, Fire. And his last hit was with Julio Iglesias and Willie Nelson, To All the Girls I've Loved Before. But he got his start with Tiptoe Through the Tulips. And I got my start with his producing. He produced the second album. However, the Tiptoe album was produced in March and released in March of 1968. From March to November, there was nothing going. When Tiptoe hit the charts with 7 with the album and 17 with the single in May of 1968, there was still no second album coming out. In August of 1968, when I performed in Las Vegas for the first time for $50,000 a week at Caesar's Palace, one morning, the day of the show, Cashbox the Billboard of their day, of the 60s and 50s. Well, especially the 50s, Cashbox was the leading, what Billboard is today, Cashbox was in the 50s and 40s, and they slipped in the 60s, but they're still pretty big. And there was a big ad in August of 1968, my dates are accurate, which said, "Hear Tiny Tim's new second album, Concert in Fairyland," which was an album I did in '62, and which lays in the dust. It was an album which every song, standard songs, was sung off key. And they wanted $25,000 not to put it out. Warner Brothers would not take that bribe. And so they put it out, and it sold 100,000 copies before we won the case and took it off the shelf in October. But it was out in August and sold in supermarkets. They capitalized on Tiptoe Through the Tulips. Warner Brothers didn't pay them the money. And so many people were disillusioned after the Tiptoe album who bought 100,000 copies of Concert in Fairyland. I'm just going to show you, in 1962, this record was produced. It's a sound off key. Standard song, "Be My Love." Be my love, for no one else can end this yearning, this need that you and you alone create. The great Mary Alonzo hit in 1950. But on the record, on the off-key record, it sounded like this. Be my love, for no one else can end this yearning, this need that you alone create. Why? It butchered 10 standard songs. And it was so bad that Nicholas Brodsky, who wrote the song for Mary Alonzo, wrote a letter to Warner Brothers threatening to sue for defamation of his song. And that was only one of 10 songs on this Concert in Fairyland album. And so this killed me in the record industry. Warner Brothers then rushed to put this one out. In November, it was completed. And I went on tour with this album. Great Balls of Fire broke out in Phoenix, Arizona. However, once they found it wasn't Jerry Lee Lewis, the album sales stopped. You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much loving drives a man insane. You broke my will, oh what a thrill. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire, which I've sung after that in so many places. But it was too late. The summer of 1968 killed the career with the Concert in Fairyland. It's still around with collectors. And this caused the bad track record, which I still have to this day, with the major labels. But the songs in here, that's the ups and downs of showbiz. Ironically, the man, may all rest in peace, I'm just giving you facts, the man who put the album out was George Goldner, who was the father-in-law of Mr. Perry. He was married to his daughter at the time. They all rest in peace, I'm just giving you facts. And of course, Mr. Perry's hands were tied because he was working for Warner Brothers, and his father-in-law, in a sense, killed me in this business. But that's the way it is. He had a share in that. I may rest in peace. I mean, I don't have no grudges. I'm just telling you the facts. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, and I stand corrected, but that's what I heard at the time. So this is a funny business show. Frankly, I wish Warner Brothers would have paid the $25,000, and not have this out. But it killed a career in the record industry up to this moment, September 23rd of 1994. But slowly but surely, I pray something is coming back. Of course, Mr. Robinson, with your Russ Colombo type album that you are producing with me now on the vinyl retentive label, I hope something happens.